Hey guys, Brad the Brown Coat Brony here, and I am super excited that Pokemon is finally coming to the Switch. We've been waiting for this for such a long time. Ever since the Switch got announced and we found out that the next main series Pokemon game is coming to the Switch, we've been waiting for this for such a long time. And Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee are just right around the corner. They're about a week away, and oh my gosh, I am so hyped for these games. Everything looks beautiful. The trailers are amazing. I just cannot wait. And since I'm just starting up the channel and, I haven't done anything Pokemon related just yet, I figured now would be an appropriate time for me to give you guys a top 10 list of my favorite Pokemon. But unfortunately, I feel like a top 10 doesn't really... I just love so many Pokemon, and so I feel like a top 10 list just isn't enough. But a top 100 list is way too excessive, so I had to cut this down. So I figure we can, I figured I'd settle on 20. 20 sounds like a good number, right? Right? So anyway, without any further ado, here are my top 20 favorite Pokemon. Let's get into it. Number 20, Ribombee. Okay, so when I first looked at this, I didn't really, think all that much of it, when it was first revealed. I mean, it was just your typical average, starter bug Pokemon. Well, technically, that would be Grubbin, but, Cutiefly is kind of that other one. So, at first I didn't really think much of it, but oh my gosh, it is a freaking beast. Like, I actually got around to using one. It is so freaking good. The typing is amazing. You set up a few quiver dances, and you just wreck everything, and it is amazing. Oh my gosh, and it's just so cute. Cute Pokemon are great. I like cute Pokemon. So, I just really like Ribombee. It's you don't expect it to be the beast that it is, but it is a freaking beast. The fact that it is the final trial in Ultra Sun and Moon, it's the final totem Pokemon, well deserved. Number 19, Roserade. Okay, so I don't know how to describe this one. It's just it's very pretty, but at the same time it's really cool. Like it's this rose flower ninja, and it's just so... It's pretty, but at the same time really cool. I like grass types. I really like grass types. They're in my top 4 all-time favorite types. But in Roserade, it's just so... And back in the day, it was really good competitively. It's all right now. It's not as great as it used to be, but back in the day, I mean, it's a fast special sweeper. It wrecks house. Or wrecked house, rather, and it's still good for setting up toxic spikes. I mean, toxic spikes are really good. So there's that. But Roserade is just one of those Pokemon where it's so pretty and yet so cool, and it's shiny. Its shiny is just so awesome. Like the red and the blue change to black and white. It's just so frickin' cool. Who says that roses can't be manly? Number 18, Mimikyu. Okay, so where do I start? Okay, so Mimikyu is just... I really like Bayonet. Like, I really like the Pokemon Bayonet, and Mimikyu is essentially an even sadder, more creepy version of Bayonet. and it's actually competitively viable, and it's so cute. It's so, but at the same time, it's really creepy. I love ghost type Pokemon. Also in my top 4 favorite types. Go figure. But anyway, so I really like ghost type Pokemon, and just Mimikyu's backstory. It's just so heartbreaking. All it wants is to be loved. It just wants to be loved, and oh man, and it's so good competitively. It just wrecks everything. You set up with a Swords Dance, the disguise gets busted, and then you just wreck everything with like Shadow Sneak and Play Rough and Woodhammer, and yeah, and and its Z move, Let's Snuggle Forever. It's both adorable and creepy, just like this Pokemon, and that is why it's number 18 on this list. Number 17, Beware. I just want to hug it. I just really, really want to hug it. It's just so cute. I want to hug it, but I know that if I hug it, it will just completely break every bone in my body, but it's just so, it's just so precious. It wants hugs, but if it hugs something, it'll break it because it's just so strong. And it's basically if they took Snorlax and made it a more, physically defensive Pokemon, and also added the fighting typing, and it just, it's a freaking tank. It tanks so many hits. It's so good, and I just want to hug it. I just want to give it like this big hug, but at the same time, I don't want to hug it because I don't want to die. Number 16, Slowbro. Okay, so like, it's really derpy, and really cute, and really cool, and pretty strong. It's the OG derpy Pokemon, and it's just so great. Like, I don't know how to describe it. It's just so... I don't really have words for Slowbro. It's just so... It's just like this mix of cute and derpy and beastly, and I just... It's great. Slowbro is a great Pokemon, and I just don't have any other words for it. But Slowbro is just amazing. Number 15, Flygon. Okay, so I was a kid. I was playing, Pokemon Ruby, and I caught a Trapinch and kind of thought nothing of it. And then I go through the Elite Four. I get to Drake. I notice that Flygon is so cool. And yet so powerful, and yet so cute. And it's this Pokemon that I just want to kind of own. It's a really cool Pokemon. And I was trying, after I beat the Elite Four, I was trying to figure out how to get it, but I didn't really have a guidebook back then, so I didn't know that Flygon evolved from Trapinch. So I'm going through the Pokedex, going through the Pokedex in the game, and I come across Flygon, and then I see that 2 spaces above it is Trapinch, and between the 2 Pokemon is a question mark circle, and I'm like, so does Trapinch evolve into Flygon? Okay, I mean, I guess they're both ground types. Alright. So I try raising up the Trapinch, and it took so long. It took frickin' forever. Because, it evolves into Vibrava at level 35. And, grinding in Pokemon Ruby is just so... if you're not going through the Elite Four over and over again, it's kind of difficult to grind, because I didn't know about Sky Pillar yet. So, you know, it was difficult to grind, and eventually, finally, I got my Flygon. And, you know, it's been one of my favorite Hoenn Pokemon ever since. And, you know, one of my favorite Pokemon in general ever since. So, you know, took forever for me to get it, and, you know, I felt like I had figured some secret out or whatever, because, you know, I didn't really have all that much access to the internet back then. But yeah. And, you know, everybody loves Flygon. Everybody loves Flygon. Who hates Flygon? Nobody hates Flygon. Number 14, Breloom. Okay, so, you know, playing Pokemon Ruby, I thought Shroomish was pretty cool. But at the same time, I felt like it was kind of weak. So, or at least it didn't do the job, you know, all that well compared to my, you know, frickin' broken starter. Because, you know, starter Pokemon are broken for the most part, you know, during playthroughs and whatnot. Especially if you pick Mudkip. Especially if you pick Mudkip. I don't care what anybody says. Mudkip is definitely the best starter to use in Hoenn, at least for Ruby and Sapphire. It just crushes most of the gyms. Anyway, so I ended up, you know, I was following the anime too, and eventually I see that Shroomish evolves into a fighting type, and I'm like, I gotta get on that. And, you know, I just fell in love with Breloom. Just not really all that much to it. I just fell in love with Breloom. It's just a really, really cool Pokemon, and, you know, I like both grass and fighting types. You know, Breloom's just cool. That's it. That's all there is to it. It's just a cool, really good, competitively viable Pokemon. Oh, especially when you got to the physical special split, because then it could exploit physical grass moves, and that was the shit right there. That was great. Number 13, Gardevoir and Gallade. Alright, so I couldn't really pick which Kirlia evolution I wanted on here. I really like them both. Gallade on one hand, because, you know, it's like this sword wielder, and it's a fighting type. I like fighting types. I just really like fighting types, and so, you know, I really like Gallade. And then Gardevoir. Gardevoir is like like once it got the fairy typing, okay, I really preferred Gallade for a really long time, but once Gardevoir got the fairy typing, and I discovered the internet, Gardevoir has been up there too. So, you know, I can't really decide between Gallade and Gardevoir. So, you know, I put them both here. Number 12, Eevee. Okay, so everyone has their favorite evolution, and, you know, I like all the evolutions. My wife likes all the evolutions. You know, we're big fans of the evolutions. Over on that shelf over there, I'll show you guys a picture. We've got all the evolution plushies, and you know, it's a tad difficult for me to decide which evolution my favorite is, because, you know, I just like a lot of them. There are some that I like more than others, but after thinking about it for a really, really long time, I came to the conclusion that I actually like Eevee the best, because it's just so cute, and it's iconic enough to essentially be a secondary mascot for Pokemon. I mean, Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee. It's a secondary mascot for Pokemon. It's so iconic and so cute. And when you look at it, when I look at it, all I see is just this endless potential. It can be whatever you want it to be. And, you know, as we go through the generations, and it'll probably still get more evolutions. And even if it doesn't, that's fine. If they stop at Sylveon, that's okay. I don't care. If these evolutions are what we've got and we're stuck with them, that's okay. But regardless, all I see when I see Eevee is just this potential to be whatever you want it or need it to be, or just that's what Eevee is to me. It's potential and a blank slate. Trying to figure out who you are and who you want to be. That's Eevee. And that's why I like Eevee more than the actual evolutions, is because Eevee is all about figuring out who you are. And I like that. Number 11. Typhlosion. You always remember your first. I started off with Pokemon when I was 4 years old. I found out what it was when I was 3 years old. I found out what it was when I was 3 years old. I started getting into it when I was 4 years old. I watched the anime. I saw the figures, and I kind of collected the figurine, the little plastic figurines that, you know, back in the 90s were all over the place. And, you know, I grew up with Pokemon. I grew up with Pokemon. So I grew up with the first gen. But my first actual game, I want to say either 6 or 7. I want to say I was 7. My first game was Pokemon Crystal. I would get Yellow later, but my first actual Pokemon game was Pokemon Crystal. And I picked Cyndaquil. And so, you know, I would just spend hours and hours just playing Pokemon Crystal, and, you know, eventually it evolves into Quilava, and then eventually Typhlosion, and, you know, Typhlosion has just stuck with me. It's easily the best Johto starter, in my opinion, and it stuck with me. You always remember your first starter, like, no matter what it is, and you just gotta love you just gotta love whatever you picked first. It's just how it is, and Typhlosion is that for me. Typhlosion was my first. He was my first step into becoming, you know, the Pokemon trainer that I am today, because he was my starter for my first Pokemon game, and I really appreciate that. I actually cannot pick any other Johto starter when doing a Johto playthrough. If I'm doing second gen or Heart Gold and Soul Silver, I have to pick Cyndaquil. I just have to pick Cyndaquil, because I can't imagine Johto without Typhlosion. Number 10. Ferrothorn. I don't know how to describe this one. It's not because I actually liked Ferrothorn before I found out that it was a competitive beast, but I don't know how to describe it. Like, okay, so I was trying to figure out my post-game team for Pokemon White, and, you know, it consisted of Dragonite, Tyranitar, Metagross, Lucario, Volcarona, and I needed one more Pokemon, and for whatever reason, Ferrothorn just stuck out to me, so I added Ferroseed to the team. I you know, trained it up along with all the other ones, got everything on the team fully evolved, and for whatever reason, just Ferrothorn stuck out to me. I mean, Grass and Steel are two of my favorite types. Like that's the fourth of my 4 favorite types is Steel. My 4 favorite types are Grass, Ghost, Steel, and Fighting. So Grass and Steel, it was a type combination that intrigued me, and something about Ferrothorn was just stuck out to me. And then I slowly began to realize just how good it was in battle, and I just really liked Ferrothorn, and I still like Ferrothorn. It's not as high on the list as it used to be, but because I like other Pokemon, but I just like Ferrothorn. Number 9, Decidueye. Where do I begin with Decidueye? Like, okay, so when the Alolan starters got leaked, or released, whichever, I really liked Rowlet. Like, I like grass types, and I really liked Rowlet, and Rowlet just stuck out to me the most. Litten and Popplio were cute too. Litten a little more than Popplio, but that eventually changed. But Rowlet stood out the most to me. And then when I found out that Rowlet, its final evolution was not only a ghost type, a freaking ghost type, but it's also an archer. I love archers. Green Arrow is like my second favorite superhero of all time. I love Green Arrow, and the fact that Decidueye is just it's this ghost grass type archer, and it is just so frickin' badass. I just fell in love with it, and I used it for my first playthrough of Moon, and it was amazing. I thoroughly enjoyed using it. I just and that Z move, that Z move. Oh my gosh, just all those arrows. Oh my gosh, it's crazy. I just really like it. I love Decidueye. I wish it were in Smash, but Incineroar's okay. I don't mind that Incineroar got into Smash instead of Decidueye. I would have preferred Decidueye, obviously, because I'm biased, but Incineroar's okay. But anyway, I just really, really like Decidueye. Number 8, Aegislash. Okay, so first off, it's a Ghost and Steel type. That is awesome. When Honedge first got revealed, I was on board. People were saying that Honedge was a stupid design, but I was on board. A haunted sword, a haunted sword, and it was a Ghost and Steel type. That is just genius. And then it evolves it evolved into Doublade, and I wasn't as enthused as Honedge, obviously, and people were freaking rioting over Doublade, saying that it's just another Magneton, just putting two of the same Pokemon together makes an evolution. That's not real Pokemon evolution. Whatever, I dealt with it. I thought Doublade could still be pretty cool, and I just figured that Doublade was it. But then when I found out that Aegislash was a thing, and it was fucking busted. It was so busted that it's in Ubers. It's still in Ubers. Just, oh my gosh. Aegislash is amazing, and I love it. I love its design. I love its moveset. I love its typing. It's just so cool. It's just really cool. A sword and a shield together, working together, haunted by this spirit. It's just, there are no words. There are no words. Number 7, Chandelure. When people say that object-based Pokemon suck, I automatically point to Chandelure. Chandelure is just... it's beautiful. It's creepy. It's beautiful. It's fascinating. It's kind of adorable, and competitively, it's pretty good. Like oh, I just can't describe it. Chandelure is just so great. I love Chandelure. I just love it so much. Like when Black and White were, were over in Japan, and the US were, we were still, waiting to get it, and I was just looking on Cerebi, seeing what kind of new Pokemon designs we were getting. It wasn't as great as previous gens, but, I still liked a lot of them. I am a big advocate for Gen 5. White was actually my favorite Pokemon game for a period of time, but Chandelure was actually one of the first Pokemon from that gen that I actually legitimately fell in love with, and it just something about it stuck out to me. I don't know, I just really like Chandelure. Number 6, Goodra. At first I didn't really like this Pokemon, but once I got around to using one, it eventually grew on me because it is a freaking tank. Its special defense is so good, and you put an assault vest on it, just oh my gosh. And okay, so everyone thinks that you have to run a special attack Goodra because its special attack is higher, but its physical attack, it's actually really, really pretty good. Like it's over 100. So I run a Sap Sipper set that's completely physical, and no one expects the physical set. No one expects you to take advantage of Sap Sipper. I mean, sure, Sap Sipper is good for an immunity, but it boosts your attack and makes your moves more powerful. Why are people not exploiting this more? Its design eventually just grew on me, and it's adorable. It's kind of like Dragonite. Dragonite is just this. It's supposed to be like this menacing dragon, but it's just so derpy looking and adorable. Goodra is essentially like Dragonite 2.0, and I love it. I just really, really love Goodra. It's adorably derpy. Number 5, Volcarona. It's really powerful and really well designed, and all around just really, really good and likable. I don't know what else to say about it other than just it's a really, really cool looking beast. Like this is easily the king of all bug Pokemon and all fire Pokemon. That's how great this thing is. Number 4, Crobat. Okay, so you know how I was talking about Typhlosion a while back? I pretty much soloed Crystal with just Typhlosion, but there was one other Pokemon that I relied on other than Typhlosion, and that was Crobat. Okay, so Typhlosion was essentially, to me, the big muscly beater kind of guy on my team who just wrecked everything. Crobat, on the other hand, was me trying to figure out how strategy worked, and just I ran a set. The move set I ran on it was Bite, Wing Attack, Confuse Ray, and Detect. It's a mediocre set, but for a kid at the time, it seemed very, very strategic, and just all around trying to figure out how strategy worked, and Crobat just wrecked everything. And you know, along with Typhlosion, I came to rely on it, and I just found that it was a really, really reliable Pokemon. And I just really liked its design. Its design is great, and you know, whenever I'm doing a playthrough of a game and Crobat is an option, I often have to talk myself out of using one and try to give something else a chance, because Crobat to me is just a really reliable Pokemon. It's just reliable. That's all I can say about Crobat. It's just reliable. Number 3, Metagross. So honestly, number 3 and number 2 switch around a lot. Like, it honestly depends on my mood, which is number 2 and which is number 3. But Metagross is just easily the greatest pseudo-legendary of all time. It's not, nothing is better than Metagross. Metagross is it. Like, it's just so cool. It's what made me fall in love with Steel types, and just Steven's Metagross, man. Just Steven's Metagross. Oh my gosh, Steven's Metagross. And then he gives you that Beldum, and then you have a Metagross, and you're unstoppable. And I just love Metagross. It's like Crobat. It's a really I have to talk myself out of using one, because it's a really, really reliable Pokemon. And it's a pseudo-legendary, and it's actually one of the easiest pseudo-legendaries to evolve. Sure, Beldum only knows one move, which is Takedown, recoil damage, ew, but, you know, it evolves at level 20. You only have to deal with that for until level 20, and, you know, then you get Metang, and Metang is easily one of the best, you know, middle stages for pseudo-legendaries, in terms of design and in terms of, you know, viability. I just really like the design and the power of Metagross. It's been with me a long time, and it's not changing anytime soon. I really like Metagross. Number 2, the Bulbasaur line. So, for as long as I can remember, ever since I started liking Pokemon, I really, really liked the starters. Like, all 3 of the starters were great. Like, the starters were always my favorites, you know, when I was younger, when I was a little kid. And which one of the starters I liked best often depended on my mood. But eventually, around, I'd say 6 or 7, it was kind of solidified for me that Bulbasaur was my favorite. It's just so cute, and that bulb on its back, it's just so cute. But at the same time, it's fearsome, and it has this aura of power about it. And you know, it's Bulbasaur. How can you hate Bulbasaur? It's freaking Bulbasaur. It's just so precious. And then Ivysaur. Ivysaur is essentially like a teenage Bulbasaur. It's actually one of the better middle stage evolutions for not just, you know, starter Pokemon, but Pokemon in general. And you know, Ivysaur is great, and then Venusaur. Venusaur is just awesome. And then when it got its Mega Evolution and became even more competitively viable, just and more durable, it was just oh yeah, yes. Just so the Bulbasaur line, easily my favorite starter. But you know, and it would be my. Sometimes I feel like it is my, you know, favorite Pokemon of all time, but just one Pokemon, just one Pokemon beats it out. Number 1, Lucario. Lucario is just a really, really well-designed Pokemon. It's very marketable. It works as a physical or special or mixed attacker. It's very speedy. Its Mega Evolution is a frickin' boss and banned to Ubers. Lucario is just a really, really well-designed Pokemon, and there's just something about Lucario. And its lore is great, and it's just a really, really well-designed Pokemon. So there you go, guys. My top 20 favorite Pokemon of all time, at least thus far. I'm really excited for Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, and please let me know what your guys' favorite Pokemon are down in the comments section. It can be top 5, top 10, top 20. It can even be top 100 if you want. You know, that's what the comment section is for. Just, you know, interact with me. You know, let's get a conversation going. So, you know, I hope you liked the video. You know, like if you're looking forward to Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee, and you know, I hope you guys have a great day, and I'll see you guys next time. Catch you later.